For a little while now, I've had one question ringing in my head. Can you play a Blood Hunter in the updated rule set? This especially became apparent when I checked to see if you could do a Gunslinger. While you can, you weren't able to select it on the 2024 rules as a subclass for the fighter, which only piqued my curiosity. However, we're getting ahead of ourselves. What even is a Blood Hunter? The Blood Hunter is a third-party class or partner content class that is available on D&D Beyond. It was made by Matt Mercer originally as a promotional piece for The Last Witch Hunter, but it became its own thing. It saw brief use in Campaign 2 of Critical Role via Mollymock/Kingsley, and more extensive use in Campaign 3 with Chetney. The class itself is largely a monster hunter type that is heavily inspired by The Witcher, as you have curses you can place upon enemies to either deal more damage, have them move around in combat, or cause additional effects. The subclass you choose furthers this theme by saying where your additional powers draw from. I honestly do think the Blood Hunter does actually kind of make for a better ranger in many regards. It lacks the tracking and wilderness ability, but let's face it, so does the 2024 ranger. All of this does come at a price though, as you can enhance your curses to become more potent, all of which deal damage to yourself. So now that we have the core basics of the class in play, can you play a Blood Hunter in the new rules? The answer is yes, you can. This is a full-on class and not a subclass. A subclass, you may have to do some adjustments based upon the class you choose. For instance, to keep consistent with third-party material, a Moon Domain Cleric from Tal'Dorei Reborn is going to require some adjustments since clerics don't get their subclass at level 1 anymore. So in those instances, it's doable, but it may not be practical. But since sorcerers get their subclass at level 3, this hilariously makes Runechild Sorcerer actually better? And I may have a video on that down the road if you're interested. We'll see. But since this is a full-on class, the biggest thing we have to worry about is class progression, which the 2014 and 2024 rules largely share in common. Proficiency bonus remains the same, many class abilities still stick to the recharge on long rest/short rest mechanics. Only parts that become tricky is really fighting style. And tricky is in air quotes. Blood Hunters get theirs at level 2. Normally you just choose a style and call it good. However, fighting styles are labeled as feats in the 2024 rules. But as stated, this is tricky in air quotes. It's one of the few differences in terminologies that we are going to find. However, in execution, they do the same thing. Basically, if you take the feat that grants you an additional fighting style feat, just remember which fighting style you already have. Which leads us to the next question. Can you do this on D&D Beyond? The answer is yes. You absolutely can. In fact, I actually think the Blood Hunter is probably better under these rules strictly for how the backgrounds work, and that you can get a feat at level 1 right out of the way. In a weird way, you can build it into your story a lot more. If you decide to go to the subclass of the Profane Soul, you can get Magic Initiate out of the gate and basically set that up. And then from there, you're basically set. The downside is, as a primary martial class, you will be missing out on the likes of weapon masteries, which if I was to homebrew one thing to bring this a bit more up to speed, it would be the inclusion of weapon masteries, which I would personally throw in at level 1 like most martial classes. And the thing is, on D&D Beyond, this isn't something you just add on in, unless you make a note. Now, you can add the Weapon Master feat to bypass this little element, but they won't let you do that until level 4. I tried, because that is a prerequisite. And that is the only thing I would adjust to add the Blood Hunter to make it slightly more viable, because this can be a fairly potent class. However, there's plenty of flavor and cost to it, which is one of the reasons that I'm personally drawn to it. It's not just power for power's sake. There is a drawback. At the end of the day though, it can basically be dropped into any game as is with maybe 1 or 2 adjustments. Beyond that, happy hunting folks. And that'll do it for this video everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all next time.